It was right here back on October 7th of 2020 when Sim Racer's Edge all began. Now for Season 3, Round number 6, we return to the Auto Club Speedway for the first time since the series debut, and it is going to be an absolutely incredible night as it was back last October. Good evening, everybody. My name is Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening. And alongside me here tonight is the man who has won both championships in this series, is going to be playing double duty in race control, and now tonight's special guest broadcaster, Nate Siefker. Nate, welcome to broadcasting your own league.
It feels weird. I don't know if I really enjoy it, but we're going to do it. So it should be fun. At least I know all the cars tonight. That'll be at least a plus.
That's always helps when you actually know who's doing what and what's going on. Right now, what is going on is we are in the midst of qualifying. As we get working here, Carl Burke right now, currently working on his second lap, currently has the fastest lap in the session thus far. As Mike Sturgill jumps up to the pole on his second lap. Carl Burke completing his second. Jeffrey Roulette about done with his first. Now Jeffrey Roulette jumps up to the top spot as here comes Carl Burke across the line. Burke will hold where he is in the fourth position already halfway through this qualifying session.
And these times are going to be pretty close to each other. 33 even, though, for Roulette is a very strong time. I'm kind of expecting that to be the marker. I don't think a whole lot of people are going to get to that time. It's a pretty impressive lap, I must say.
Yeah, absolutely. As here comes Roulette, not faster than his previous best through the first sector. He's going to be off by 6/100ths of a second. Here's the man that won the first race in the history of the series, Tim Bates. He will cross the line and he will go P3. Will Tim Bates in the 6? Looking at Johnny Antonucci now coming out of turn number 2 on his second lap, currently in 11th. Will Fletcher 14th on his first lap. Ronnie Osmer, who had won the pole last week at Las Vegas, currently 18th as Antonucci crosses the line. It will be a 156 for Johnny Antonucci. He will not improve on his time. Here comes Fletcher through 3 and 4, looking to complete his second lap in the number 28. And Fletcher will not improve his time either. Ronnie Osberg just completes his second lap, and he'll go up to second, so it will not be 3 consecutive pole awards for the 55.
Valiant effort there by Osmer. Osmer has proven this season to be one of the stronger qualifiers on the oval side, so that's kind of not of a shocker to see him up there on the front row provisionally at the moment.
Yep, he's won the pole on a road course and on an oval, and now second place on an oval here. Butch Davis goes 19th on his first lap. This is Yari Brupatcher, fastest of all in the first half of the lap here, as he's hugging that inside line. And that line over the course of the night will move up as the race goes on. Yari Brupatcher needs to beat a 33 flat, and Brupatcher will jump up to third at a 33.014. So another good run for Yari Brupatcher. Butch Davis crosses the line on his second attempt. He'll get a 30.013. Times unbelievably close here tonight.
First through ninth, separated by 1/10 actually. So that's pretty impressive to see the field spread that tight, especially here at the front, I must say.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a 33 dead is what the pole time is going to be here at Auto Club. As we go into the 5-minute practice session, well, really quick, let's take a look at the point standings going into tonight's race. And it will be Chad Simpson atop the point standings by 29 points over his teammate Butch Davis, and then Mike Sturgill, having won 2 of the last 3 races on the trot so far, has jumped himself up into the third position, just 1 point behind Butch Davis. Chris Simard there as well, Jeffrey Bogan. And after finishing second last week, Ronnie Osborne has jumped himself up into the top 10.
There's a reason why Chad is the points leader, and it's been a proven formula in this series, and I can speak from experience on that. Being in top 5 in all 5 races that we've had so far, that's really key to, making your best of your season there. So it is interesting to see how well he's doing, especially 5 for 5 in the top 5.
Yeah, absolutely. As we take a look through the rest of the point standings, we'll go to the team standings now. And 2 teams have been a dominant force all season long. It's been FBR Motorsports, dominated the first couple of races of the season. Now these last 3 times out, however, VSM has finished 1-2 at New Hampshire, Watkins Glen, and at Las Vegas last week. Who can stop that VSM train is going to be anybody's guess at this point tonight.
Yeah, they've done something inside that program that seems to really work well. I mean, you have Chris Simard in that team. You have Ronnie Osborne in that team. You have all these top guys, Michael Sturgill as well. You have plenty of people to bounce that information off of. That makes a really strong team here. So to see the progress they made in the past few races, getting 1-2s. They almost had a 1-2-3 last week, if you remember right. That's an incredible process that program has had.
I think the biggest thing is because they've had the same driver lineup since the series has begun. You think about Chris Simard, you think about Ronnie Osborne, and you think about Mike Sturgill especially. Those guys are actually performing to their potential right now. And these guys, we've said it from the very beginning, they are good drivers. They are no slouches. Chris Simard has finished second in the point standings every single year of this championship. Mike Sturgill now finally starting to get wins. Ronnie Osborne putting some consistency together. Those guys now basically are just doing that. They're just performing to their potential.
And that seemed to be one of their Achilles heels. You always knew they had the potential to perform. It was just they never put it together. Like you said, the consistency with Osborne or Sturgill just being so close but not getting to that point. Simard, we have always known he's there, but he just seems to come up just that little bit short as well. So now we're starting to see there's the ceiling. They're right there at it here. So this will be interesting to see as the season progresses how this team will do. Especially, I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think Simard is yet to win the season.
No, Chris Simard has not. He finished second at New Hampshire with Sturgill's win. Then it was Osmer and Sturgill finishing 1 and 2 at Watkins Glen. And then it was Sturgill and Osmer finishing 1 and 2 at Vegas. Almost, as you had mentioned, almost a VSM 1-2-3, but Simard just could not hang on to the tires long enough to make that last. But coming to Auto Club here tonight, again, we've made so much about it all week long. Where this series began, we were treated to one hell of an opening race, finishing a dead even tie, made the iRacing top 10 for the month of October last year. That is going to be awful hard to beat here coming back to it again.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the racing we had here last season was, very tight, very packy, which, you ask some people, they're huge fans of that, and you ask other people, and they absolutely hate that style of racing. Tonight, it, at the moment, seems a little bit more spread out, so it'll be a little less chaotic. We might not get that 0.000 finish, but we've seen in practice so far that people are able to get runs and actually able to race side by side pretty decently. So we'll see as the night goes on how these runs progress, and hopefully, maybe, who knows, we might get that 0.000 finish.
You wouldn't happen to know where you finished in that race, would you?
I crashed out in turn 3 on the final lap. I could care less where I finished that race, to be honest with you.
Would have been 17th. Right now, the man who finished in the 26th position in that race, Kieran Bergelli, right now at the top of the pylon as the warm-up session ends here for Sim Racer's Edge. It has been an incredible build-up all week long to get to this race. We knew once we saw the schedule that this was going to be a special event, the first time coming to it since the series opener. And right now we will go to the grid here for tonight's round number 6 from the Auto Club Speedway. It is going to be Jeffrey Roulette on pole at a 33.000. Ronnie Osborne missing out on pole by 2/1000ths of a second. That is your front row. Butch Davis and Yari Brupatcher will make up row number 2 with Mike Sturgill and Tim Bates starting in row number 3. Eric McCarthy and Carl Burke in row 4. Mike Grandy and Jeffrey Bogan in row 5. Jeff Hollingsworth, the first time we've seen him since the second round of the season at Kansas. He will start in the 11th position alongside Dan Brazington in row 6, with row 7 going to Paul Crumry and Johnny Antonucci. Kieran Bergelli and Chad Simpson will make up row number 8.
William Fletcher and Mark McFadden will make up the 17th and 18th positions tonight, with Michael Bourne and Dale Weiser. They'll roll off on the 10th row and 19th and 20th place, respectively. Jose Viguera, he'll roll off in 21st tonight, with Ron Hollifield alongside in 22nd, the last of the qualifiers. Bentley Glazer and Chris Simard, they're the first two, the non-qualifiers. They'll roll off in 23rd and 24th position tonight, with Kevin O'Brien and Chris Walker rolling off on 25th and 26th, and Raul Alvarez coming in the 27th position, last on the grid.
And those final 5 guys not taking time, as always, set by iRating going into this race here tonight. It is going to be a fun race. It's going to be a wide open race. These guys are going to have a lot of speed. We've seen throughout the practice session, the draft here is going to be absolutely huge, and that outside line is going to be the one that gets the most use as we get further and further on into the run.
Yeah, you'll see the lanes open up. The track will get cooler. You will see lanes develop that, over time that you didn't think were possible in this race. So that will be interesting to see who's finding that line early enough to take advantage of it.
So these guys will file out of turn number 4. We'll take a look at the weather. It is just after 7 o'clock p.m. here in sim time. 85-degree track temperature, 81-degree ambient temperature. As we come out of corner number 4, getting set for round number 6. Here from the Auto Club Speedway, 125 laps at the track where it all began. We're green.
And that was an even start there from the front group, as of course you have to go on green in this league here, but Roulette off to an early advantage here over Osmer.
Yep, absolutely is Roulette.
Oh!
Gets out to that inside, a big slide, and that's into the wall hard goes Yari Brupatcher, and a big incident in turn 1 here on the opening lap, as the leader, Jeffrey Roulette, had the back end start to step out on him, and that one filed everybody up.
And that was the absolute worst case scenario there for that to happen at, because there was the leader of the race was the one who happened, and that happened in front of literally everybody.
It was Butch Davis in the 42. We saw slow. Bentley Glazer, I believe, has caught a little bit of it. In the 87, Mike Sturgill slow. There he is on the inside. Try to get a better look. There's Sturgill there. On the inside of 3, trying to avoid getting lapped. Right front suspension torn off of that car. Johnny Antonucci is spun around. That's at pit entry, or just before pit entry, with no right rear corner on his car. Dan Brazington's already towed it. I think Kevin O'Brien got through it okay. And again, that all started up at the front. And we'll take a look at this off the back of Jeffrey Roulette from the race start. Try to see off the back of the 66. Gets a good start. It's just on the inside. Cold tires. You can do that very, very easily around here. Oh, it looks like he may have clipped the apron as well. And then just everybody behind files into that incident. And during times like this, Nate is going to be a little bit busy. Again, he is pulling double duty tonight. He is in race control as well. see that 66 get loose. Yari Brubhatcher into the wall. The 43. Looks like the 29 of Brazington there. There's Sturgill involved, and we'll ride on board now with Butch Davis. Boy, he just shot up the racetrack trying to avoid running into the back of the 66, and there, took another big side swipe there. Out of turn 2. See this from Chad Simpson's point of view. Just over his shoulder. He's on the outside in the back. Try to avoid this, and for the most part does. Coming virtually to a stop. Does Simpson. There's Johnny Antonucci trying to roll away. And that, I think, was a little bit less than ideal for these guys to start this race. Already we got a bunch of guys damaged, a bunch of guys a lap down. Mike Sturgill, Dan Brazington, Johnny Antonucci, Butch Davis, Yari Brubhatcher, Chris Walker, all in pit lane. Chris Walker has come back out onto the racetrack, so has Brazington. I believe Brubhatcher has called it a night through just one corner of this event. And a big, big way to start this race. Biggest benefactor from that, up and towards the front at least, would have been Kieran Bergelli, up 9 spots from where he started, up into the 6th position now is Kieran. Biggest overall movers, Chris Simard plus 10, Raul Alvarez plus 10 as well.
And speaking of those teams that, sorry I interrupted you there,
good.
but the teams that we talked about, that we talked so positively about, VSM and FBR, VSM lost Sturgill in that accident. They had, of course, a couple benefactors, but FBR losing 2 cars pretty much from that towards the back or in the pit lane, and Simpson also got a little bit of damage out of that too.
Simpson, we rode on board with him. We thought he might have clipped the wall as we get set to go back to green flag racing here. Single file on the wall, as is normal for this series. Osmer gets the great jump, strings out the first couple, and now we are racing here at Auto Club.
Now you got to think, did anybody learn from this? Did anybody see Roulette do that? And they're going to avoid the bottom here. I'd imagine that everyone's going to stay and groove up. Osmer goes right down to the bottom, though. He's going to go for it. It looks like everybody's going to get through turn 2 this time.
Yeah, and this has been pretty known territory for Ronnie Osmer. Dominated the race at Watkins Glen 3 weeks ago, and pretty much dominated the race at Las Vegas last week as well. As Osmer's starting to find form, starting to find that top spot to be pretty homely for him, as here comes Eric McCarthy looking for the race lead, taking that draft, taking it right to the inside, and for the first time this season, the 23 of McCarthy finds himself at the top of the pylon.
McCarthy's one of those guys that we don't talk a whole lot because he's usually in the mid-pack, but he has shown a lot of promise in these races. He has run towards the front. We just usually don't see him a whole lot, so he has the ability to run up at the front. This will be interesting to see how he does tangoing with Ronnie Osmer here.
Speaking of guys we haven't seen all that much, Jeff Hollingsworth up into the 7th position, trying to battle with Mike Grandy in that number 97. Grandy has been here every single week thus far this season, carrying the flag for Voodoo Racing for the majority of this season. Jeff Hollingsworth, again, his first appearance since round number 2 at Kansas. He goes back to the inside on the number 12. And at least for the moment has the position, but that outside of Grandy's going to be able to pull, and he's back out and ahead.
And this race is looking pretty strung out for the most part out here. A lot of people just kind of riding at the moment by the looks of it. You had to guess people are probably a little spooked because of that accident there, so I bet everyone's kind of playing nice and calm and not a whole lot of big moves here as Bates goes around the outside of Carl Burke. What a power move from him.
There's Tim Bates running up in the 3rd position. Again, the man who won this race here on the 7th of October. Goes to the inside, now has a nice little view of the battle between Osmer and McCarthy in front of him. He's got Kieran Bergelli to his outside. as Bergelli will take over that third position. Carl Burke now to the inside.
Oh! And Bates has hit the wall.
Yep, he has, and we'll take a look. He is falling back quite severely as Bates is completely stopped down there at the bottom of turn 2, just at the pit exit line. Try to see what happened with him. We had just jumped out of his onboard camera. Boy, he hit that wall hard. Broke the suspension on it, and then it snapped back into place, but still Bates pulling it off. So an Auto Club repeat not looking all that promising, as here comes Kieran Bergelli right now on Ronnie Osmer, this for the race lead.
Yeah, and you can tell that Kieran wants that hometown win. He is a California boy, so this would be a pretty awesome win if he was to get it here. And let's just take the lead out front here and lead some laps for Kieran here.
Yep, now Ronnie Osmer jumps up to that outside lane, and as we've spoken, this outside line is going to be dominant here for a vast majority of the night if this race can stay green. Carl Burke starting to get up into this battle here. Mike Grandy Sr. as well. Osmer goes down to the inside. He will clear the 98 of Bergelli as we're going 3 abreast here through turn number 4. And this track is plenty wide enough to do that. 3 wide for third as McCarthy falling back out of the top pair.
Grandy coming for that top group there. He went from the top to the bottom here, and he's made it work quite well there. So that's just interesting to see these two lanes kind of work. The top can work, the bottom can work. Just a matter of where you're at, really, and how you get the run.
Now, Grandy has had success here on these bigger 2-mile ovals. Remember back to season 1 at Michigan, had a win taken away from him for passing below the white line, coming to the start-finish line to complete the race. As Grandy now to the lead here. He was very good at the season opener at Michigan this year. These sort of big tracks definitely favor the number 12.
Yeah, you could say that it's his bread and butter is these big ovals here. So we've already done, Michigan, of course, this season, and we're going to do Auto Club here tonight. So he'll be done with the big 2-mile ovals after this. So only big oval is Indianapolis for the season finale after this. So hopefully, Grandy's been proving that he can put in the results. It's just a matter of finishing it off here.
Looking a little bit further back, this is for the 14th position, or pardon me, for the 13th position, as Chad Simpson looks under the 42 of Jose Viguera. This is the farthest back I can honestly remember seeing Chad Simpson all season long when it wasn't in the middle of a pit cycle. So Simpson starting to work his way up forward a little bit here, but we do know Simpson, he likes to back off, he likes to save those tires, he likes to extend the fuel run as much as he can, and then once he gets a beat on it, once he feels as though he's in the last run, then he starts to turn it up.
I will say something about Chad that I don't say a whole lot about other people. He has one of the best abilities to fuel save that I have seen in an Indy car. The fact that he's able to extend stints 2 to 3 laps more than other people at times is incredible to me. So, yeah, at the moment, I think he is just riding. He's riding in the 13th position. Not a whole lot going on for him, but you also have to think in the back of your head, we did mention he did clip the wall there in that accident. So is there a little bit of damage on that car? Could that be affecting him in his performance back up to the front here? We'll have to see, but I don't think at the moment he's not racing like he's got a whole lot of damage on that car.
He's running to the inside now of Dale Weiser in the 24, and he will gain that 12th position now. Just put down the fastest lap of the race, so I don't think there's too much damage ailing that number 42. Look back up. This is for the 7th position. Paul Crumry trying to fend off William Fletcher in the 28. Now, these two guys had some pretty good battles in the Western States Racing League at Iowa last night, translating that over to here tonight. And the first time we've seen Crumry since his great performance at Kansas in round number 2 of the season, took the pole, led the first stint, and then found himself in the wall after he got caught out by Dirty Air.
And these guys, everybody at the front here has moved forward. Fletcher has moved up 9 positions. Bergelli, the biggest mover one of the biggest movers of the night. He's moved up 12 spots. The biggest mover, of course, is the guy who didn't even take a time, Chris Simard. He's up 13. So you're going to see these guys, as the night goes on, move to the front that we expect to be at the front. PK is one of them as well.
Yep, and looking at it, Grandy +8 now back in the lead. Osmer is where he started. Brigelli +12, Burke +4, McCarthy +2, but we have seen him in the lead tonight. Hollingsworth +5, Fletcher +10. So these guys are really moving. As we'll take a look back at Chris Simard, he's catching up to the back of Michael Bourne in the 34 and Jeffrey Bogan in the 21 as he looks to get inside the top 10. Michael Bourne has that 10th position. Simard certainly wants it. As we go down into turn number 1, Simard's going to try to run that inside line, get the straight line momentum coming off the corner, but the high line momentum is going to work for Michael Bourne this time.
It seems like people wanting to run that bottom are really struggling to get it to the bottom if they can't make it stick. A lot of lifting if you're on the bottom side here, so that could be something to play for as this race goes on. If you're running that bottom, maybe you can't quite make it work as well later on in the runs.
We're a little bit more than halfway through the fuel run. Projected fuel run on a green flag run is 32 laps roughly, so the pit window would be open between lap 30 and 35 from last pit stop. But since we had that caution in the middle, extend that by maybe a lap or two, as Paul Crumry still in that battle with William Fletcher. Ronnie Osmer has retaken the race lead from Mike Grandy. Eric McCarthy has jumped up into the third position as Grandy and Osmer go side by side battling into turn number 1 for the race lead. Grandy has it, and that's going to try to move Kieran Brigelli up into the second position, but he cannot make it stick on the inside.
Something to note down the front stretch, I've noticed this a couple times. Auto Club is either one or two ways that it races. You're either on the top on the front stretch or you go down to the bottom and then work your way up. I've noticed most of the time everybody's been running the wall. This time they just happen to go to the bottom here. So it looks like either way, if you're on the bottom or the top, it is pretty quick at the moment here.
Well, it would make sense to run that outside line down the front straightaway to kind of knowing how important that outside line is through these corners to kind of block that line off. But you're right, they went down to the inside immediately. Grandy losing position to Ronnie Osmer, Kieran Brigelli there as well. So yeah, it is kind of just by driver feel, I guess, how they want to attack that tri-oval.
And you can run that bottom lane and be protected on the bottom side as the apron is off limits here in the Sim Racer's Edge. So you can run right on that line, know that nobody's going to pass you as McCarthy gets really loose. He got right there on the apron there, and he lost a lot of time there.
May have gone a little bit too far on the adjustments as well, did McCarthy in the 23, as Osmer goes back for the race lead again, and he will take it going into turn 3. Mike Grandy all the way up to the wall coming out of turn 4, and Osmer is taking that outside line, protecting the high line going into turns 1 and 2, saying if you're going to pass me, you're going to have to do it on the off line.
So it looks like Grandy wants to run that bottom of the front stretch. Osmer wanting to run the top. McCarthy, when he was at the front, he was running the top as well. So this is going to be interesting to see as this race progresses. If people behind can learn the trends of these guys, Osmer's going to go to the front here out of 3. So this will be interesting to see him run the top here out of the 4.
Yeah, and that's going to be very, very key here, is learning the runs that these guys are getting. We know draft is going to be absolutely massive here, and learning as Kieran Brigelli makes a big dive to the inside line, trying to take over the race lead. Instead, he's going to stall out. Mike Grandy's going to hold on to the race lead. Brigelli's going to have to siphon back into the third position. But as I was saying, to know how long it's going to take to get up to the car in front of you to try to make that move, and if they do dive to the inside, how far back do they have to be in order to make that move work? If that makes sense.
It made sense to me at least. In the bottom lane, the very bottom groove, which we're seeing Grandy run now, if you are behind people, that lane just looks terrible to run in. But it looks like it's feasible if you're the leader here. So that's a lot of learning is going on if you're Kieran at the moment, if you're Eric at the moment, if you're PK even at the moment. You can see that far ahead to know if it's even working at the moment. As I look at that, that's I believe that is, that's Hollingsworth there that really got close to the wall there. But he made that bottom lane work. It's just a matter of time before you learn what works for you and what doesn't work for others.
Now he's going to lose that momentum going down the front as Will Fletcher dives to his inside. Fletcher and Hollingsworth right now in a duel for that 7th position. That's Michael Bourne sitting behind him in the 34. Chris Simard there as well in the 77. So it has been a VSM car out in front. However, the teammates for that VSM car, one is out with crash damage, the other one mired in the back.
Doesn't look like if you're in the back, I don't think Simpson and Simard are really not trying to ride. I think they're trying to get to the front, but at the moment it looks like you're kind of stuck because what happens is you're creating so much momentum forward. The air just makes it like a train. We talk about it in Formula One all the time. It's a DRS train. And that's basically the equivalent of what's happening here. If you're at the front, you can pass. We're seeing it with Grandy and Osmer the entire time, but if you're 5th or 6th on back, you're having a difficult.
Jeepers. Michael Bourne caught the wall coming out of turn 4. Hollingsworth caught the wall trying to sneak to the outside of the 34 down the front. And that created quite a bit of confusion there between the two. You see Hollingsworth trying to get the run to get down to the inside. Chris Simard just chilling there in the 9th position, pardon me, as Will Fletcher has dropped completely out of this battle. And a big stop there for Hollingsworth. It's going to climb the 34 of Bourne up onto the rear wing. Caution comes out, and that was Hollingsworth trying to let off from keeping to hit that outside wall. And Michael Bourne was all over him.
And that will probably, well, as I can say, for sure catch the attention of race control there because of the previous lap. That's kind of interesting there, I must say, how just off first glance it seemed like Hollingsworth lifted quite a bit there.
He lifted quite a bit to keep off of that outside wall. We'll try to get a look back at it here. We'll go back a little bit further. Probably a little bit too far at this point. There we go. So this is what happened the lap before. Bourne goes down to the inside, comes up, clips the wall, barely clips the wall. Then Hollingsworth clips the wall, trying to sneak up the outside of the 34. All is good here so far. Comes through 1 and 2, all good. Hollingsworth is going to get a run. Coming down the back straightaway, as we've seen all throughout the race. Take the dive going into turn 3. Everything is good here. But it looked like Hollingsworth just gassed it up a little bit too early, realized he was going to hit the wall, backed it way down, and Bourne had nowhere to go but over the rear wing. Let's take a look. The incident's already happened there. As Michael Bourne was having his best run of the season. We haven't seen him too much this season. Even going back to last year, this was by far and away one of his better efforts thus far as the pit lane is full. Jeffrey Roulette gets to his pit box. Ronnie Osmer is going to win the race off of pit road pretty fair-handedly. As Karen Bergelli, Mike Grandy, Eric McCarthy, Chad Simpson, Carl Burke, Chris Simard jumps up to 7th. As we are working our second caution of the night after a big incident on lap 29 between Jeff Hollingsworth and Michael Bourne. And as you are watching tonight, be sure to have on a different tab or a different browser completely. The season finale for the Endurance for Amateurs series. They are at Watkins Glen, a big 3-way battle for the GTE championship taking place tonight as we speak. So have us up on one, have them up on another. Support both of us here tonight. Tomorrow night will be the TNT Truck Series. They will be at Dover at 7:50 p.m. Eastern Time. Round number 13 of their season, and a big race coming out of the road course at Coda last week. The Circle B Diecast Super Speedway Series will head to Talladega for round 6 of their season on Friday night. On Monday, the Rowdy Energy Cup Series will hold their final race before the playoffs. That will be at Daytona at 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time. And then on Tuesday, the MX5 Pro Series will hold their season finale. That will be at Long Beach at 2:50 p.m. Eastern Time. And then on Tuesday night, the nightcap for our Tuesday night doubleheader will be the Western States Racing League. They will be at Road America, the final race before their first week off of the season, 9 rounds into the season. And then with Endurance for Amateurs off, with their season done, Sim Racer's Edge is off. Only Thursday night next week, so you'll miss the Wednesday night doubleheader next week as we line up to go green again.
So a couple things to note there. That incident was ruled no further action was necessary in that accident. And then just like a little bit of an insider knowledge there, Roulette, we saw that first lap accident there. Turns out his VR went black on him there.
Oof.
So that's why he happened to clip the apron there.
We've seen that a lot here recently on these broadcasts. And it's not just this series. It's been a couple of different series. We've had guys with either VR or hardware issues. As we come to the green flag here, about to go green flag racing again. Lap 34, Ronnie Osmer hits the gas. We're off and running again. Osmer, Bergelli, Grandy, McCarthy, and Simpson, the top 5.
Man, I feel like we've talked about Simpson quite a bit. We haven't seen him up front, so interesting to see him up in the 5th spot there. But this will be interesting to see here as this run goes on if Bergelli wants to make an impact and run at the front more.
And Kieran Bergelli, not the fastest one all the way down pit road. That would go to Chad Simpson. Simpson by far and away with the fastest pit stop out of anybody on that set, 7.98 seconds. Nobody else was in the 7-second bracket. As a matter of fact, nobody was within 0.3 of that pit stop time for Chad Simpson, which is why he was able to jump so far ahead, as he's now battling to the inside of Kieran Bergelli after Mike Grandy takes the race lead.
Kind of back to the status quo we talked about all night long so far. These two at the front, everybody running single file behind, trying to make it work. As McCarthy's going side by side there, it looks like with Simard there. This will be interesting to see as they continue to go side by side at the front stretch.
Simard working his way forward. McCarthy unfortunately falling backwards. We saw a battle there just a second ago between Dale Weiser and Jose Viguera. That is a battle for the 9th position. Dale Weiser on the outside, Viguera on the inside, not that far behind Mark McFadden in the 22, with Will Fletcher on the outside. That's a battle for 12th between those two, as Bergelli now starting to have a heck of a time holding Simpson off for that 3rd spot.
Yeah, it seems like those two are going side by side as much as the leaders at this point here. So, you know, Simpson has proven he is really good with wheel-to-wheel combat when he has to pull it out. But we haven't had to see him pull it out too much this season so far here. So, Bergelli not afraid to get his elbows out. Simpson not afraid to get his elbows out. So that could lead to some fireworks later on the night. Who knows?
We certainly saw that from Bergelli at Watkins Glen at his season debut, as Ronnie Osmer goes back to the race lead on Mike Grandy. A little bit further back, McCarthy now trying to battle with Carl Burke after successfully staving off the charge from the 77 of Chris Simard. Going on the attack of the 53 now. Carl Burke having a fine night, running up in the top 5 at least for the moment.
You know, Carl's doing what he needs to do at the moment. Run up front, get some time up there, and learn. That's the big thing when you come to Carl Burke. You got to learn, you know, as the run goes on. He seems like he's done really well with that. Getting the over-under done there. Nice move on McCarthy there.
Yeah, absolutely. As here comes Burke back to the inside. This will also open the door for Chris Simard in the 77 to try to get around Carl Burke. As McCarthy trying to work that outside line, just cannot quite get the run. here in the battle for fifth. The 53 of Burke just holding that number 23 of McCarthy off, as now Burke will lose that spot, but he will have the run on the outside line. Not enough of a run, though, as McCarthy takes over that fifth position.
It seems like if you're in the lane that's got all the draft support, you're doing pretty well for yourself on the straightaways here, because right there on the front stretch, McCarthy did have it initially, the help of Simpson, but then Simpson moved up to the top, with the top three moved up, and then Burke all of a sudden had the momentum here. So really, if you're in this pack where McCarthy, Burke, Simard's at, if you can pick your lines properly, you should be able to move forward pretty easily.
This race has already been a test of attrition here in the first 40 laps. Yari Brubhatcher, Butch Davis, Johnny Antonucci, Mike Sturgill, Tim Bates, Bentley Glazer, Jeff Hollingsworth, and Ron Hollifield all out of this race after a big first lap incident that took out a vast majority of the guys that we were expecting to see doing something up here at the front. Guys like Butch Davis, Mike Sturgill, Jeff Hollingsworth, Bentley Glazer was a part of that first lap incident. That really set this race back a little bit, but still a ton of great action here up at the front.
Yeah, especially when they go three wide basically there. Grandy in the bottom, Osmer on the top, Osmer in the middle, Simpson on the top, sorry. And right at the moment, these guys are playing nice, but who knows how long they'll play nice for.
We saw this a lot in the series opener, a lot of moving and swerving and weaving and trying to take these runs. We were told right from the get-go that the inside line, if you're going to try to run that inside line, that's not going to be the way to win this race. The outside is where you're going to want to be, as they're going three wide here yet again. This time Simpson goes to the bottom here for the race lead, and for the moment it looks as though it's going to work. Grandy has the momentum on the outside. Simpson will take that second position as Osmer's trying to battle from Bergelli for third.
And just look how strong that draft was there. Osmer was side by side with Bergelli going down the back, and then he just slingshotted his way forward there. So that shows you how strong this draft is behind people. And that's kind of leading to the DRS train. It's Bergelli going to shoot to the middle here.
Yeah, very good run for Kieran Bergelli. And this also, you have to be mindful that you don't adjust yourself out. Again, with the anti-roll bar adjustments these guys have on the cars, it's very, very easy to adjust yourself out, and you have to be mindful of that. If you set yourself up to be behind and then find yourself out in the lead, that could upset the back end of your car a lot more than you're expecting.
Yeah, I can speak from firsthand experience losing an Indy 500 in this league to that. You know, that does make a huge difference, clean air to dirty air. And especially at a track like this, there's not a whole lot of baking to it, so you do use a lot of the actual in-car mechanic portion of it to help turn the car, so you really rely on that mechanical grip as they go down the backstretch here.
As that's Kieran Bergelli to the inside of Mike Grandy. Ronnie Osmer running way up in that outside lane, trying to get the biggest run that he possibly can. A little bit further behind there is Chris Simard battling with Chad Simpson. These two have been running line astern pretty much the entirety of this race. They're now in 5th and 6th position. A little bit further back, a battle for the top 10 as Dale Weiser in the 8th position has the 21 of Jeffrey Bogan under him. Jeffrey Roulette there, Paul Crumry there as well. So we got a lot of close battle in here all throughout this field.
And they're about halfway through this fuel run too. We're on lap 46. These guys pitted on lap 32 here. So you got to figure we're about halfway in this fuel run here that they're hitting right now. So this will be interesting to see how the car handles. We haven't got to a point yet where these guys get to that late stage, really.
Pit window expected to open around lap 61 is when we would expect to start seeing these guys come in. And also we're noticing we are at about 7:45 in sim time, but it has gotten plenty dark around here at Auto Club. Lights are going on. Track temp is going down. It's down about 2 degrees from where we started this night. So track evolution certainly going to be a big factor here tonight.
As you can tell, everybody has progressed to the top. We no longer see people going to the bottom there on that front stretch. Everybody on the top lane, wanting to get the most momentum possible. So that's how the track has evolved since this race has started. People were wanting to run the top because they know that's the fastest way around here.
It's one of the best runs we've seen so far this season out of the 23 of Eric McCarthy, who we ride on board with. Right now we see Bergelli streaking by him on the outside. Ronnie Osmer's out there as well. But this has been an absolutely fantastic run. Another California native, Eric McCarthy out of Los Angeles, California, having a very solid run here at his home track.
And you got to think the two California boys running 2-4 at the moment, so you know that's pretty impressive from them. This will be interesting to see as this race progresses, you know, how aggressive do they go? I mean, it's always cool to win a race, even though you're not really winning your home race. It's still your home race, so this will be interesting to see as the race progresses how aggressive those two get.
Absolutely, as Grandy goes back to the race lead with Kira Bergelli now to his inside. Ronnie Osmer still working that extreme high line way up there on the outside. Eric McCarthy's gotten his nose back into this. Chad Simpson starting to put his nose back into this battle here up at the front. The top five all right there. Paul Crumry, to the outside and around. Dale Weiser through turns 3 and 4. Now trying to get the run on Carl Burke for 7th.
And notice how everybody runs that top lane because everybody's up there. So Carl's able to get all the draft there off of Simard while PK peeked out. Yeah, PK had an excellent run, but when you don't have the draft, it's worthless to you. As you're going to see it here with PK, PK's going to get the draft off of Burke, and instead of Weiser passing him with ease, PK's able to pull up there and kind of stay competitive there with Weiser.
And that's why it's so difficult to pass here, because of what you saw there with Crumry coming out of turn 2. You push up this racetrack so hard and so violently, it is almost impossible to get a run. Look at Chad Simpson get the run on the outside as Kira Bergelli goes to the race lead. Ronnie Osmer there as well. The 23 of McCarthy and Grandy in the 12 almost coming to blows coming out of turn 2.
And this is fair racing so far. Nobody's made any, it's been close. It's been fair, though. And it's kind of nice for a race control perspective, I will say. But you got to think, at some point, somebody's going to make a mistake. Somebody's going to touch. And it's a matter of time, especially with how close the racing is at the front.
It's also kind of nice for somebody who wants a color commentator to not have to try to guess when you're here, as Bergelli will extend out the race lead here, probably by about as much as we've seen all night, about a quarter of a second. Ronnie Osmer right there with Eric McCarthy running in third position as Osmer comes out to the race lead. He will lead this lap inside of about 10 laps to go when this pit window is expected to open.
You got to think when this pit window opens, is this gap going to break apart, or are they going to pit together? And we're going to see this again. So this will be interesting to see. The lap time delta doesn't look too bad. It seems like your tires stay with it quite a while. So pitting early probably won't be as a big of a strategy move as we normally would see on some of these ovals, especially with the tire wear looking pretty minimal tonight, I must say.
Now, Carl Burke is in a fairly nice spot here. He's not really in the pack, but he's also not really by himself. Let's take a ride on board here for Carl Burke to see how much he's playing with the throttle, how much he's having to work that Dallara IR18 to get around here at the pace he is.
You're going to see here going into 3, he's going to try to search for that clean air, which is right in the middle there between Simard and Grandy, and that helps a lot in this corner because he's able to stay full throttle. He'll move up to the top to kind of get a little bit off of Grandy there and kind of just pull along. I mean, he's not getting any pressure from behind from PK just because he's managing this draft. I mean, look, he goes to the top where it's clean air, and that's all these races are. It's a chess game. That's what it is, because you need clean air when you need it, and you need the dirty air when you need it as well, and you got to manage that to the best of your abilities here. If you're really good at these tracks, you're able to play chess really well. If you don't work well at these tracks, you don't play chess very well at all.
He, much like everybody else, going down into 5th gear here through these corners, and you do need to do that to keep the momentum up. It also helps the front end stick a little bit, so it's not all that unique to see him downshifting here because that arrow wash, especially when you get into the pack, is really, really bad.
Yeah, and you need that little bit of extra horsepower there, the revs to build up to power out of these corners here, because if you leave it too long, the power band is a little slack there, and then you don't get as much of that power down the front stretch, which leads to slower top end speed. So that's why we're seeing these guys downshift to fifth, like you said, to rotate the car a little bit, but to also get that extra pull down the straightaway.
It's Eric McCarthy down to the inside looking for the race lead in the number 23 against Ronnie Osmer in the 55. We've talked about the run of form that Ronnie Osmer has had over these last couple of weeks. Pole to win at Watkins Glen, pole to a second place finish at Las Vegas last week, finishes qualified second here today, and has spent a majority of this race up at the front of this field. So Osmer having an incredibly good run here, the start of this season. Missed the first couple of races, but boy, is he making up for lost time in that number 55.
You got to think now at the back of some of these guys' heads, okay, pit stops are coming. So I don't want to get caught out running this top lane, because we're seeing everyone run the top, of course, as Simpson gets an excellent run of McCarthy there, going right by him. You got to start thinking pit stops are coming. I have to start thinking about this.
Pit window is going to open up here in the next couple of laps as here comes Mike Grandy back up to the inside line, gets into the fourth spot around the 23 of McCarthy, at least for the moment. McCarthy has Chris Simard all over the back of him, as McCarthy just able to hold that spot. Grandy can't quite get that inside line to work. He is, however, able to split the 23 and 77.
You got to think with some of these guys up front, we've seen everyone in this pack except for Simard, really, and Simpson. Well, Simpson has run at the front. We've seen them all run at the front so far, so we all know they can get to the front. It's just a matter of who's wanting to ride, who's wanting to watch some stuff here. I'd say the watchers at the moment are definitely Grandy and Simard and Burke, but some of the guys that are wanting to play, Osmer and Bergilli, we've seen them in the top three the entirety of the stint.
Yeah, absolutely. Paul Crumry, we see there just in the back there. That is Paul Crumry in the 3 to the inside of the 21 of Jeffrey Bogan, as they head through turns 1 and 2. Again, pit stops are not that far away. Raul Alvarez into pit road in the number 9. He appears to be the first one to come in for a set of tires and fuel here on this cycle of pit stops, as the field siphons by him now, as Chris Simard goes to the outside of Eric McCarthy. Simard is as high as he's been all night long, looking to get a little bit more.
I was about to say we're about to see pit stops here, but I was about to say we're seeing the old school fashioned leapfrogging tactic here, as I'm going to guess, according to the voice chat, pit stops are going to start right here.
Yep, as it looks like Kieran Bergelli slow down at the bottom. Ronnie Osmer in as well. Mike Grandy, Carl Burke, all coming into pit road. So we're seeing guys out of the top start to come in. That will hand Chad Simpson the race lead. Eric McCarthy, Chris Simard there as well. And as we mentioned before, Nate, we will expect Simpson to come in a couple laps after these guys with how great he has been all season long at saving fuel.
Yeah, if I had to guess with the amount of fuel that he's been saving this entirety stint, I'm guessing he's not going to pit here. According to this, he's not going to pit. So that's about in line with what we've seen. So these guys that we're riding haven't pitted. The top two that we mentioned all day, running as hard as they can.
Crumry, Vigera, Fletcher, McFadden all in this time. So the top 7, McCarthy, Simpson, Simard, Weiser, Bogan, Roulette, and Kevin O'Brien have not come into pit road just yet. Everybody else has been down. Eric McCarthy looks slow on the bottom. A little bit of a wiggle there. He is going to get it corrected and down into pit road. Chris Simard as well. Dale Weiser, Jeffrey Bogan all coming down pit road this time. Simpson, Roulette, and I think we'll wait and see here on Kevin O'Brien. Those three decide to stay out an extra lap.
Man, it's crazy. We talk about Simpson saving fuel. Hell, I can go an extra 2 to 3 laps ahead of everybody, and he does exactly what we say he'll do.
I mean, he's on the inside now, so would expect that he would come in on this lap as he has to negotiate around the slow car of Michael Bourne in the 34 to come into pit road. Does successfully. Jeffrey Roulette comes in. Now here comes Kevin O'Brien possibly. He's slowing down. Does he make pit road? If the camera will play ball, yes, he does. So right now, here is the battle for the race lead. It is between Ronnie Osmer, Kieran Bergelli. We saw Eric McCarthy and Mike Grandy Chris Simard just come out of pit road right there. So the battle for the effective race lead coming right up to these guys.
Yeah, that's the pack of 5 is pretty spread out, but they will, I assume, come together. Chad's coming out of the pits here. I assume he's going to latch onto the back of this if the timing's correct. I'm going to guess he's going to come out right around where McCarthy's at. He actually might be right behind Grandy here. So really good job here from Chad to get there, as he's going to come out right behind Grandy, like I said.
You see where these guys all siphon through there. Pick your favorite number, and there you go. As Kieran Bergelli right now is in the lead. We are through the first green flag pit cycle, just a little bit past halfway. You're watching round number 6 of season 3 for the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series from Auto Club Speedway, the circuit where it all began for SRE. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back. You won't miss a single second of the action from Auto Club Speedway right here on ESPN. Welcome back to Auto Club Speedway, and you saw it there on picture-in-picture. Ronnie Osmer around battling for the race lead. And for the guy who has had such a good run of form here as of late, that has to hurt.
Yeah, that's definitely a killer. And that looked, of course, race control is going to have to look at this, but that did, at the moment, just from first glance, just appear to be just an unfortunate incident.
Take a look at it here. Boy, that was really awkward. It looked like the car snapped off the wall awkwardly there. We'll try to run it back a little bit further. That just looked like such an awkward incident. So here comes Osmer. Looked like he might have hit the wall a little bit. I don't know how you call that, honestly. Take a look off the back of Kieran Bergelli. Oh, this is a little bit further back than I thought. Pardon me. It's going to happen right here, though. As they come down the front straightaway, he's going to get the run on Bergelli. Boy, it looked like he net-coated into the wall. And it's as if he tried to take the run, it just wasn't there anymore. We'll see. I don't think the 12 of Grandy caught him. Like I said, it looked like he bounced. It was a little bit of a net code. Yeah, that didn't look like a natural accident for Osmer. As Osmer will be done here tonight on lap 70 after such a strong first half of the race. So with the way everything fell just prior to the caution flag, Mike Grandy overtook Kieran Bergelli for the race lead. Eric McCarthy up to third. Chad Simpson and then Chris Simard, the top five. As that is William Fletcher on the outside line, looking to get one of his laps back via the lucky dog. Nobody coming into pit, with the pit cycle having just concluded under green flag conditions not that long ago. Just a heartbreaker of an incident for the 55 of Ronnie Osmer. And we've spoken about it all race. Winner at Watkins Glen, pole to win, pole to second at Vegas last week. Second place start tonight and looked well on his way to having a chance at another podium finish, and unfortunately it just falls a little bit short with that incident on lap 70 as we get set to go back to green flag racing here. Grandy, Bergelli, McCarthy, Simpson, Simard, the top five. Jeffrey Bogan, Carl Burke, Dale Weiser, Paul Crumry, and Jeffrey Roulette filling out the top 10. 16 drivers currently occupy the lead lap positions. Chris Walker, the only driver on track that is not on the lead lap, Chris Walker and Michael Bourne, the only two drivers on circuit that are not on the lead lap. Pace car getting set to duck on off here after the third caution of the night. About to go back to green flag racing here from Auto Club. There goes Grandy. We're off and rolling again here at Auto Club.
That was a good start from Grandy there. That looks pretty strong. He's got a good gap. I was going to mention, too, he might have damage because of that, because if you looked on the angle there, it looked like Osmer may have came up and clipped his floor there, but it looks like at the moment it's all good for Grandy.
As we see there in the back, Jeffrey Roulette trying to take immediate advantage on Paul Crumry, trying to get that ninth position. Instead, he's going to end up losing a spot to Jose Viguera in the 48 straight off the jump, as Roulette now with the fresh tires on the inside line will be able to hold it at least for the moment, but that draft for Viguera really helping him as he will maintain that 10th position.
Yeah, that's pretty key for him. I mean, poor start from him so far in this race, remember. But this will be interesting to see his redemption arc there. You know, having the VR go black on him, he's going to try to move forward, and he has the pace tonight. We've proven it to move forward here.
Raul Alvarez into the wall coming out of turn 4. A little scrape for him in that lucky strike number 9. Nothing too severe as we go back up to the front. It is Grandy, Bergelli, McCarthy has been a fixture up here at the front tonight. A great run for Eric McCarthy. Started in the 7th position up to 3rd and has been battling inside the top 5 all night.
This racing's exactly what we saw earlier, because these guys are doing 2 wide at the front, single file, fanning out to double wide occasionally. So expect the field to scrunch up back again here, especially with these top 6 running. That seems like that's been the theme of the night. Top 6 get together, everybody else single file.
Absolutely. As Mike Grandy goes down to the inside, Kieran Bergelli will lose the race lead, and those two appear, at least for the moment, to be swapping the lead every half a lap, as Eric McCarthy now comes up to the back of Kieran Bergelli, about to go 3 wide here for the race lead, and McCarthy's going to be the one that takes advantage of it, at least going into turn 1. He has Bergelli cleared in the middle, but Bergelli's going to get the run on the outside line. 2
California boys going at it. It's kind of fun to see that, so this will be interesting to see McCarthy's proven tonight he's able to make passes, but Bergelli has the more experience at the front tonight. So that'll be interesting to see as this race progresses if that experience pays dividends. Is a big move there by McCarthy.
2 California kids, a New Yorker, a Texan, and a New Hampshire native running in the top 5 right now as Chris Simard battles with Chad Simpson for that 4th position. Jeffrey Bogan for the first time tonight really up here towards the front, battling in that 6th position right at the back end of this big group. He has, had at least I should say, Chad Simpson under him. Now he has him above him. And now behind him.
Look at this guy's going 3 wide. Grandy going to the top side. Bergelli on the bottom here. So this is going to be interesting to see. You know, it seems like if you're on the bottom, if you're leading, it is a usable lane. And the top is the lane to be in if you're in traffic. So kind of interesting to see how this race is at the front. The middle lane is almost the best lane, I think, overall tonight.
It's a little bit of both. You're not as high up on the extreme high line, but you're also not as low as down on the bottom, so you can get that run. As McCarthy leads that lap, Mike Grandy takes the run on the outside line, and Grandy has the lead for the moment. McCarthy's going to take it back on the inside, but Grandy will have the run on corner exit as we've seen all night long. Mike Grandy side by side with McCarthy for the race lead.
Yeah, McCarthy's done what he needs to do. He's learning a lot, and this is big for him because he hasn't been at the front of these races. We talked about it earlier, to learn how to run at the front. So Bergelli and Grandy both have plenty of experience running at the front in this league, in this car. McCarthy, not a whole lot of track time at the front. So this will be interesting to see as this race progresses. I keep saying interesting to see as the race progresses because there's a lot of things we have yet to see tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. As Jeffrey Bogan into the top 5 for the first time tonight. That was something we have yet to see here this evening as Kieran Bergelli jumps up into the 2nd position as Grandy takes over that race lead. So while we have a second here, while we at least think that everything has settled down back to status quo, we'll go and try to take that break now. You're watching Sim Racers Edge Round 6, Season 3 from the Auto Club Speedway right here on ESPN. Don't go anywhere. Back here at Auto Club Speedway for round number 6 of Season 3 here for the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series. I'd like to remind you that also streaming right now is the season finale for the Endurance for Amateurs Series. A 3-way championship battle in GTE taking place right now at Watkins Glen. Again, the Season 2 finale for Endurance for Amateurs taking place right now with Sam Cooper Bennett and Byron Rodney on the call. Coming up tomorrow night will be the TNT Truck Series from Dover. That'll be a 7:50 p.m. Eastern Time start with myself, and I'm expecting Ryan Williams to be in the booth with me tomorrow night. Coming up on Friday will be Sam Cooper Bennett and Byron Rodney in the booth at Talladega for round number 6 of the Circle B Diecast Super Speedway Series from Talladega Super Speedway. Then a weekend off before we head to Monday at Daytona for the Rowdy Energy Cup Series final race before the playoffs. There for those guys, that'll be at 8:20 as well. And then the Tuesday doubleheader, the MX5 Pro Series will hold their season finale at Long Beach at 2:50 p.m. Eastern Time. And then the nightcap for Tuesday's doubleheader, the Western States Racing League, with myself and Ben Bruno in the booth there. They will be at Road America on Tuesday night. Working lap 91 of 125. Dear Lord, don't make me do that again. 125 laps. Mike Grandy currently in the lead. Kieran Brigelli, Chris Simard, Eric McCarthy, and Chad Simpson all on your screen, all right now, running in the top 5 as we get down to the final 35 laps of this race.
You have to think pit stops. We're expecting them at about 10-ish laps here, so this will be interesting to see here when they pit. You know, they'll be able to make it from there. That will be the so-called money shot or stop, I guess. Money.
And demonetized.
It all works.
And demonetized. Pit window actually opening right now. These guys last came in on lap 63, but we did have the caution that came out in between, so we might extend that a couple of laps as Eric McCarthy now goes to the race lead. A little bit further back, Jeffrey Roulette still has not fully recovered yet from his VR headset crashing in turn 2 on the first lap. He is battling with Mark McFadden right now for the 11th position. Jose Viguera trying to get around, that's Chris Walker in that white and purple number 27. He allows now Paul Crumry to get to his inside and around him in the number 3. That will promote Crumry up into the 9th position as Chris Simard right now battling with Chad Simpson as Mike Grandy looking for any way possible to get around Kieran Brigelli.
Yeah, Brigelli really trying his best to keep the guys behind him there, as that is going to be, you know, pretty interesting to see how he's able to do that there as he's got McCarthy looking underneath him now.
We have been warned by race control about snaking down the back straightaway, basically weaving down these straightaways. So that's being looked at a little bit closer as this race goes on. And then, Nate, as you had mentioned, that inside line below the white line in the tri-oval on the final lap, that is out of bounds. So we'll also have to look at that for the end of this race as Eric McCarthy comes into the race lead. Kieran Brigelli comes into pit road, and he is solo down into pit road on lap 96.
Yeah, pit lane is open and the window is open too, so this is going to be interesting to see. They can make it, so this will be interesting to see if Brigelli has the winning strategy here to come in a little early maybe.
Well, again, and with this series, no green-white checkers, so we are running to lap 125, and that is it. Mike Grandy comes into pit road. Carl Burke is going to follow it. A big slide there for Mike Grandy as he locked up the left front tire, slides out of pit road, and is now sideways in the infield. Grandy now completely loses it, and the caution comes out. Big big mistake for Mike Grandy. And that, I believe, is going to be a downer for Kieran Bergelli as well. Caught a lap down. Should get a wave around, however. So it won't hurt him too bad, but a big mistake for Mike Grandy.
And that's a huge for Bergelli because, yeah, he is a lap down, but there's other people lap down as well because I think Brazington and Fletcher are also scored a lap down as well.
Well, you can see how quickly those cones come up on you. And Grandy just had to lock him up. Didn't realize the cones were going that quick. Had to lock him up and slid out of pit road. He's going to come into pits now. And when the dust settled, it was Chad Simpson who was in the race lead.
And that will be, of course, an EOL from Grandy, but I'm sure, that might be open to some other investigations there. I'm not saying that, or it is an investigation, but, that does suck for Bergelli there because, he was, at the moment, that looked like that was a really good strategy that he was going to be on.
It certainly did, as Chad Simpson will lead everybody down pit road. Again, the pit cycle was just about to start, so we are expecting everybody in. As Simpson leads McCarthy, Bogan, Crumry, the whole lot down pit road here as we see the lap down cars all stay out. As Simpson already moving. And Chad Simpson will win the race off of pit road. Eric McCarthy comes out in second. Jeffrey Bogan, Chris Simard, Dale Weiser will be the top 5 coming out of the pits here. And we will be restarting this race inside of 25 laps to go.
Yeah, this racing here will be pretty interesting here from the get-go because you're going to have about 25 laps to go till the end of this thing. So that will be interesting to see how the racing amps up maybe.
So again, it'll be Simpson, McCarthy, Bogan, Simard, Weiser, the top 5. Crumry, Vigera, Roulette, McFadden, and O'Brien will be the top 10. Fastest team on pit road, that time by Jeffrey Roulette at a 7.85 second pit stop. There for the number 66 crew. Not too bad. As he will restart in 8th position now because of that quick spot. Hello, Ella, and hello, Mom, by the way. I don't know how to override those, unfortunately. I don't know how you input them. So that makes for some interesting things sometimes. But Ella and Mom get a nice shout out, so that works.
It is always nice to get some shout outs on YouTube, especially when you're racing, I must say.
Absolutely.
We'll say number 1 fan of the league has to be Dan's father-in-law because he is the number 1 supporter, I think, of all of us here at Sim Racers Edge.
And he has been here virtually every single week from the word go, which how long did you say it was? How long ago?
322 days.
Well, there you go. We've done 2.5 seasons in that time.
Pretty special to get to that point, I must say.
Yeah, absolutely. As we get set to go back to Green Flag Racing here tonight. 25 laps to go when we take the green flag here from Auto Club. As Simpson for the first time leads them down, green flag back in the air, Eric McCarthy about a half a second behind, and we've seen that all season long. That race lead gets some jump here on these restarts.
Yeah, and you have the free choice to go from when the pace car goes in to when the green flag comes out. You have all that free real estate that you can choose to jump in. So it's really unpredictable on the starts of these restarts here. So that's why you see these big runs from the leader, but then they pull back as we see McCarthy here right on the rear wing of Simpson.
McCarthy there, Bogan also having a battle. That is with Chris Simard, who Simard has not been inside of the top 3 all night long, so this will be a first for him if he can make the pass. And at least for the moment, he has made the pass, but Bogan has that run down the back straightaway, is able to retake that 3rd position. Jose Viguera battling with Paul Crumry in front of him and Jeffrey Roulette behind him, trying to make some moves. And Kieran Brigelli having to start in the back after taking the free pass because the caution came out right after he made his pit stop, up to 10th already behind Mark McFadden.
I got to tell you, that's probably the guy that you're going to want to watch this entire stint, because if I had to guess, he's on a mission. Because this man has run in the top 5 basically all night long. You got to think he feel like he deserves to be up there, which he does. So this will be interesting to see. He's got about 22 laps to get there. I think he can do it, honestly.
It's not maybe. He certainly has been up in the top 5 all night long. Eric McCarthy goes for and takes the race lead. Now these two have broken away from the rest of the field at the moment. It's about a 0.6 of a second gap between 2nd and 3rd, another 0.6 between 4th and 5th. These guys at the end of this race breaking away from each other here early in this run.
And we mentioned it, I think it was the incident right before the incident with Osmer. We talked about how these guys were doing the old-fashioned DW12 swap drafting technique. We're seeing it here with McCarthy and Simpson. It seems to work. Brigelli and Osmer were doing it really well there. Basically how it works, the guy behind gets the draft. He'll pass you going to the corner. The guy behind slips in. They keep doing that on the ends of the track, and it works. See both. It looks like Simpson, McCarthy, and then Bogan and Simard doing it. So it is working for them to do that strategy.
It absolutely is. As Bogan still battling with Simard, as Simard now has that outside. Dale Weiser trying to keep Paul Crumry behind him. Might not work with Crumry on the outside, as the top 8 right now pretty much in pairs. McCarthy versus Simpson, Simard versus Bogan, Crumry versus Weiser, Viguera versus Brigelli here. As Kieran, we just said he was up in the 10th spot. He's already in 7th.
Yeah, he is on a mission, like I said. I fully believe he will get to the top 5 before lap 120. I think maybe even 115 at this rate, because he is by far and away the fastest car on the track by about 0.2 per lap here. So at the moment, he is tracking to catch the leader by lap 120.
One guy who was up towards the front that has not made the same move, if I can actually click on his name, that's Mike Grandy. Now he has moved up through the field, not nearly as aggressively or as quick as Kieran Brigelli has. Grandy up now into the 11th position after causing that last caution by sliding through the pit lane entrance and onto the infield grass. Grandy would expect him to catch up a little bit here now with some clear air in front of him. He can really work that number 12 Dallara IR18, as Simpson and McCarthy still battling for this race lead. Chris Simard now has joined the fray in the top 3.
Yeah, it's kind of a case of we knew that Simard was going to do this, and look at him. I think we talked about him not winning a whole lot of races, and now all of a sudden he's wanting to play because all of a sudden he's showed up with these front 2.
Absolutely, is Simard pretty much confirming the fact that he's just been riding around this whole race. We get down to 16 and a half laps to go. He is on it, as he has left Jeffrey Bogan behind. Paul Crumry now with Kieran Brigelli and Dale Weiser behind him. Brigelli has been on a mission, but now I know there's emphasis. He needs to get up towards the front if he wants a chance at winning this race. but how badly is he killing his tires right now trying to make this run?
You got to think it is affecting him, but like we mentioned earlier, the tire fall off isn't that terrible. So I'd imagine, well, yeah, he's taking more life out of the tires trying to catch this front pack. He's probably not burning them up too much, I must say, as they have PK and Kieran have basically caught the front pack.
Yes, they absolutely have, and they've brought Jeffrey Bogan. They follow Jeffrey Bogan up to that front pack as Kieran Bergelli, with 15 laps to go, just a little bit ahead of your schedule, I will say, is up into the front six. Dale Weiser running solo about 7/10 behind that front pack. Jose Vigera battling with Jeffrey Roulette now for the eighth position. Vigera able to hold it for the time being, but Roulette is certainly right there. Carl Burke holding on to the last spot in the top 10. Meanwhile, Mike Grandy is gaining, but not by as much as we were expecting him to.
And you got to think how much of that is just down to pure rage from Bergelli moving forward to the field. I mean, this is an impressive display we're seeing. He's going to go right around the side outside of PK, blows right by him there. So Bergelli showing he's able to pass, showing he was able to get by all those cars. I think he restarted the 14th position there. So up 8 spots since the restart, and he wants more, you can tell.
And coming up into 13 laps to go, Chad Simpson just does clip Eric McCarthy at the line. And if this race is anything to go by, it might not be 0.000, but 0.001, I think, is definitely in play.
Yeah, Bergelli is there. McCarthy, ooh, a late move from McCarthy there trying to get Simard. Simard to the line to the bottom. He wants to lead at least a lap. He wants to at least say he's led one lap. He's up 21 positions tonight, I will say.
Up to 22 now with that move up into the second position. Now he's going to fall behind Chad Simpson, who's going to take the lead in the middle. So Chad Simpson goes back to the race lead. Simpson's only won one race this season. Only had one duplicate winner through the first five rounds of this season. That would be Michael Sturgill. Chad Simpson won the season opener, took the points lead, and has not looked back. He has yet to find victory lane since the opener, and look who's just taken the lead, that 98 of Kieran Bergelli.
A little ahead of schedule, a little, but that is impressive, I will say, especially with what we've seen all night. You know, the packs, single file, Bergelli to run up there that quickly. So now you got to think, is he going to ride? Because he's got 10 more laps to be up here. You can't just run up front. We've seen him do it, but I mean, you mentioned it earlier. How are his tires? He had to use his tires up quite a bit, I've had to say, getting to this front pack.
And because he had to take the wave around, Bergelli could not pit under that last caution flag, so he is on 3 laps less fuel and 3 laps older tires than anybody else in the field right now. As Chris Simard goes around the outside, he will take the race lead, while a VSM 1-2 for the 4th week in a row might not be in the cards anymore. A VSM car standing at the top step of the podium for 4 weeks in a row certainly is still on the cards.
And you can tell that a lot of these runs are at the back here. We can look at the run that McCarthy just got there. McCarthy slicing through the field there. As it seems like the winner of this race is going to have that run on this last lap, I don't think, because this is incredible racing. It's just a matter of who's the sitting duck, I think, at the front at this point.
It's looking like you're going to have to be about 4th or 5th on back in this group here, because if you're 1, 2, or 3, you tend to stall out and kind of end up in the same spot you were in by the time it's all said and done. As McCarthy takes the race lead, Chris Simard will have just clipped him at the line in about 8 laps time. That would have been for the race win. Kieran Bergelli to the outside. Simard on the inside takes the race lead.
And guess what the gap was there at the line? 0.000. So that would be pretty impressive if that happened again. But you can kind of tell Simpson and Bogan are just riding at the moment, waiting their turn. PK might have something here. Roulette, the pole sitter, he's in the 7th position. If he races like Bergelli, he might even get up there.
If you go back to the first 2 oval races of the inaugural season, the margin of victory was .024. Kieran Brigelli won the second one, and we know Tim Bates won the first, both over Michael Sturgill, as here comes Jeffrey Bogan trying to get around McCarthy and will successfully get around McCarthy for fourth. Brigelli still in the race lead here. Simard and Simpson not far behind.
Yeah, this race is far from over, and you can tell it's just the battle of who gets the runs. At the moment, this is just exploratory. I want to be in this position on this lap. That's what all these guys are doing. You know, Simard, he might be the sitting duck at the moment, but then again, he might get freight trained to third or fourth, and then he might be in the prime position. So right at the moment, nobody really knows where he need to be. I had to guess McCarthy there in the fourth spot. He looks like I'd want to be in his spot.
This race has hardly started with how many moves we've seen so far. We got 5 laps to go here. Brigelli, Simard, Simpson. Simard would have just missed out by off of Kieran Brigelli there if this were the final lap. Jeffrey Roulette and Paul Crumry battling it out for the 6th position as this has become a top 5 battle. But as Nate was pointing out, watch the run. Watch for one from McCarthy, maybe possibly from Jeffrey Bogan if he can get the run. Brigelli going for Simard and for the race lead yet again.
And think about this, if the yellow comes out now, the race is over. So that's going to be a really big factor too. Do you want to lead this race? Because we talked about it, the leader is the sitting duck, but the yellow comes out, you're going to win the race.
And that is one of the points of emphasis here in this series. You can't just relax and wait just in case there's a green-white checkered, because there are none. Simard takes the lead immediately. Simpson follows through and falls in on the inside line. That's Michael Bourne. Slow on the inside going through 3 and 4. His car way towed out in the 34. Chad Simpson will lead the lap, 3 to go. Simard to the outside line. He's got the race lead, but for how long?
And Brigelli, that last lap there, he went on the apron. Well, he didn't go to the apron, but he went to the bottom and he washed up there. So now they got to think, is Brigelli's tires washed up? Here comes McCarthy. McCarthy going to the inside here.
Yep, McCarthy gets a very good run going into turn 3, side by side. The first 4 positions now. As Simpson on the inside, Simard on the outside, getting set for another classic finish. Could Kieran Brigelli also be waiting and waiting and waiting to try to get that big run at the end of the next lap?
Got to think Brigelli's got to go here. McCarthy's got to go here too if he wants a shot at this. So this top 2 here, they're racing hard as they can. Simpson up to the top.
Yep. Simard to the race lead. Kieran Brigelli goes for it into the 2nd position. Here comes Brigelli. White flag coming out here at Auto Club.
He's just sitting there. He's waiting. He knows he's got to make this move out of 4 because he's not going to have it if he doesn't. So he's just is waiting here. He might make it in a...
It is going to be another close finish as we head down the back straightaway. A little bit of a block there from Chris Simard. Kieran Brigelli goes to the inside. We've seen the outside line have the momentum all night long, but it looks as though Brigelli has made the move at the right time. Here comes Chris Simard looking for the finish. It is going to be Kieran Brigelli taking the victory here in round number 6. Simard comes up a couple hundredths of a second short, and Brigelli, in just his 3rd start of the season, takes the win.
Well, that wasn't exciting, was it? My goodness.
And
wow.
What a comeback.
I told you, it was going to be either the 3 or coming out of 4.
And what a comeback from where he started. Caught a lap down after pitting from the race lead when the caution came out. Starting in about the 14th position on the final restart. Worked his way relentlessly through the field and comes home the winner by 2/100ths of a second. We've done it again.
That was incredible to watch that entire sequence there because you could tell he earned it, especially there at the end. That was awesome to watch. We can do that 5 more times, and that probably wouldn't be as cool as that racing was there at the end.
I think Auto Club might become a mainstay here on the Sim Racers Edge calendar as Kieran Brigelli snaps the VSM 1-2, also snaps the VSM winning streak at 3. Brigelli winning on his home circuit. 2 races here at Auto Club. The combined finishing distance between first and second, .015. Unbelievable.
It's impressive, you got to say. And that just shows how great the racing is here because, the racing all night long was fast and furious at the front. And you had to wait till the end to see how great it was going to be. But you eventually saw it. Man, what a show that was.
Was absolutely incredible. As we will try to get these guys in here right now. And I believe, Nate, you are with our race winner, Kieran Brigelli.
Kieran, Nate in the ESBM booth here. Do you got a copy, good sir?
Yes, I do.
Well, a lot of points to discuss with you. First off, let's talk about that last run there, because that was by far some of the best racing we've seen all night. Caught a lap down, 2 to the yellow, pitting early, having to take the wave around, having to start at the rear of the field, having to come from about, I think, 14th or 15th spot there on the restart to win the race. Talk us through that entire run there, Kieran.
It was fun. I kind of panicked. I knew I could make 2 more laps, but I panicked and thought I might be able to get the drop on everybody if I just pitted when I did, and it bit me. But thankfully I qualified 15th, and I knew that if I could keep the car wound up on the top, that coming back to the field wasn't really going to be a problem. The SRE guys gave us a great car tonight. I got to thank my teammates. I'm sorry Butch didn't have a great night, but he was a big help all night long. He was in the ear, keeping us calm. It was a good 1-3 for the team, and I think Jeffrey rebounded to 7th. All in all, it was a good night for FBR Motorsports.
Talk us through the racing at the front, because we saw you at the front majority of the night. It seemed like if you were the leader, you were a sitting duck. If you were in second or third, you just got this run that was unstoppable for the most part. Coming to the end of those last 5 laps, were you in the position you wanted to be at, or did you want to be in a different spot?
I wanted to be chasing Chris down coming down the back straight. I didn't think he was going to give me the bottom, but I knew as long as I kept the car wound up, I was going to be able to stick it wherever and probably be able to pull the pass off. And if not, he deserved to win this race just as much as I did. It's been a rough couple weeks with Chris. I got to say, I did kind of boot him out of the way at Watkins Glen. He'd probably be further up in the points if it wasn't for me. So I'm sorry I denied you some more. But I had a great time tonight. It was a lot of fun racing up there with Chris and Chad and Eric and all them guys. And yeah, I had a blast.
Well, speaking of, a couple of races in the future, we'll stay out west here. We'll go to a track that you're pretty good at. We're going to go to Phoenix in 2 weeks' time. You've won races in this league and actually the previous league as well at Phoenix. I mean, are you looking forward to that? Are you kind of skeptical about it? What's your thought process?
Normally I don't. I kind of dread going to Phoenix. It's really hard to put a fast lap together there. It's like a smaller Pocono. It's just tough. Like the car's really on edge through turn 3. You got to have good balance, and it's just really hard to nail down. But for some reason, I seem to do good on technical tracks that I don't really like racing at. So we'll see what happens. Yeah.
Well, sounds good. Well, first off, anyone you want to thank other than the people you've already thanked?
I think I nailed most of them down. Thank you to the admins for hosting this every week. As you all know, I've been gone for a while, so to come back and have some pretty decent pace out of the box, I'm pretty happy with it. And I have good teammates and good people in my corner, and yeah, we're having fun.
Well, good deal. Well, Kieran, try not to celebrate too hard like you did at Knoxville, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
We'll see you, brother.
Yeah.
Sounds like an inside story that we're not going to get to here, as we will now bring in our second place finisher here, Chris Simard. Chris, you had the lead on that final lap. Was that the position you were wanting to be in to possibly see if you can get that slingshot out of turn 4, or were you did you kind of know that the game was up?
I kind of knew, but uh, I've always I've gotten in that position before where I was second and the caution comes out, so I figured, what the hell? I just tried to keep it in the lead, and I had a run off of 4, but it wasn't enough, and I probably should have kept it on the bottom, but I don't know. Just it's not that easy when you make a split to second decision, but I had fun anyways. That was a lot of fun racing with everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a fantastic night from start to finish. Now, we didn't really see you up battling for the race lead right there until the very end. Was that a strategy call? Were you just kind of letting the car roll, do what it wanted to do, knowing you were going to pick it up at the end? Or was that just kind of not really by design?
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of taking it easy. I started in the back. I didn't have really any practice, so I started in the back. I was just taking it easy. I made it through that big first wreck there, and then just taking it easy. I mean, was racing hard, and I wanted to plan something just in case someone crashed up front, I could get by. So I was just taking it easy, and actually, you save a lot of fuel if you're in 5th or 6th, where I was for a while there. So
now we go in 2 weeks' time. We have a week off. Then we go to Phoenix again for the first time since season 1. At that event there, you had finished 3rd, qualified 2nd. What are your thoughts going into Phoenix?
Well, I'm gonna have to have a good setup for Phoenix because of the aero push. There's always plenty of that. Probably one of the tracks where it's the most aero push for me. So you have to start up front and stay there. And usually, if the leader, if you can start up front, you could stay there. So I don't know. The Phoenix is a really good track for me. So I'll take whatever I can get. I need all the points I can get. I've been making mistakes the past couple of weeks, and I need all the points I can get. So this was a good points night, and next week too. I want these wins, but I want to stay up front and gain as many points as I can without crashing. So.
Well, sir, you certainly did a very good job of that tonight. Anybody you want to thank before we let you go and celebrate a 2nd place finish?
I'd like to thank you guys up in the booth. You do a great job. I love going back watching all the races, especially tonight. I'm going to watch it. Let's see, Turn Racing, Sim Motion, Inside Sim Racing, ESPN, all the sponsors for the league. They help make this league what it is, and my teammates, Rocket Racing setups on my IndyCar. There's a lot of other sponsors that I'm forgetting, so I apologize to Sam. But and my wife and son and everyone that watches the race. I got my dad, my brother, my uncle. I got a few guys watching. So.
All right, your 2nd place finisher here tonight, Chris Simard. Bud, congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
So that was your 2nd place finisher, Chris Simard. Nate should be with our 3rd place finisher, Chad Simpson, right now.
Chad, Nate up here in the ESPN booth. You got a copy, good sir?
Yeah, you got me.
All right. Well, 3rd place isn't bad. That's your 6th top 5 of the season. 6 for 6 so far. Pretty impressive, I must say. Hanging on to the point slate and everything like that too. You started tonight in 16th position, which isn't usual for you. And we talked about you kind of running in the back in that first half of the race. Was that all strategy, or were you kind of just feeling everything out?
No, I had a kind of bad weight checker setting for qualifying to put me in the back. And I knew I was in a dangerous spot, which was obvious from the first corner crash. I just was riding up right next to the wall and got as hard on the brakes as I could. I bumped the wall a little bit, and I watched like 5 cars go flying past me, which was a little scary. But I think I restarted in like 19th or 20th. It was pretty bad. I just had to carefully pick my way through the field.
Yeah, you picked your way through the field pretty great there. And I mean, you ran in the top 3 most of that race there. The last 5 laps, you could tell from up here that it was just going to be a battle of being in that right spot there on that last lap. Where did you want to be at, and did you get to where you wanted to be at?
I was really just driving to finish. I didn't want to crash, and I accomplished that. I was hoping maybe I could get a run somewhere and have a shot at a win, have a shot at passing Simard at least, but really I was just kind of riding and trying to finish off a good points day.
Yeah, and you had it, like you said, you have a great points night. This your 6th top 5 of the season. You're 6 for 6 when it comes to those. So that's obviously important. It's one of the most impressive stretches I've seen actually in quite some time. We go to Phoenix next time, 2 weeks time. How experienced are you with Phoenix? Are you looking forward to the race? Are you dreading it? What's your thoughts on it?
I hate Phoenix, so I'm not looking forward to it. It'll probably be something kind of similar to tonight where I'm starting towards the back and I just got to survive. But you never know. Maybe I can find something in the setup that I like and I can have a decent run. But overall, I've never enjoyed racing in Phoenix.
Well, hopefully it's a little bit more fun this time. Well, Chad, anyone you want to thank on your podium place tonight here?
Yeah, thanks Satellite Racing, Virtual Racing School, FBR Motorsports. Kieran, good job getting that win tonight. Butch, tough luck. And I guess that's it. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for putting it on.
All right, Chad. Well, congratulations on the podium tonight. Go celebrate it, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
Thanks, Nate.
So that was your 3rd place finisher, Chad Simpson. And Nate, we had one heck of a show brought to you here tonight. It was very akin to what we saw in the first race here. Now, granted, the first race we saw a lot bigger packs. This was a little bit smaller, more controlled packs, but still the racing was just the same.
Yeah, that first lap incident that we had, it thinned out the herd quite a bit. Like we mentioned, we didn't see the big hitters like Sturgill and Davis and a couple others at the front there. So that was a big factor, I think, in the racing we saw tonight. You're right, it wasn't as big of a pack, but the racing almost was better because of it. You got to see runs actually happen, passes actually happen, instead of everyone just being confined in one spot. I gotta say, the racing out there tonight looked fantastic. It was fantastic to call it. It was fantastic to be in race control. Not too much chaos, but just enough to have a little fun with it too.
I was just going to say, is that from a race control standpoint, a league owner standpoint, or a broadcaster standpoint?
All 3. How about that?
That'll work. I think that's the simplest answer. As we now will go to the results here for tonight's race, Kieran Brigelli takes the win by 0.016 seconds over Chris Simard, Chad Simpson. We've heard from those 3. Eric McCarthy and Jeffrey Bogan, both of those guys with their best finishes of the season, round out the top 5. Paul Crumrye, Jeffrey Roulette, Dale Weiser, Carl Burke, and Jose Viguera round out the top 10. Mike Grandy, Mark McFadden, Dan Brazington, Will Fletcher, and Kevin O'Brien not only round out the drivers that finish on the lead lap, but finish out the top 15.
Chris Walker is the first of the lap down cars, and actually 3 laps down. He finished in the 16th position tonight, with Raul Alvarez on the same lap as him in 17th. Michael Bourne, we saw him limp there at the end. I didn't quite catch what happened to him there. He finished in 18th spot. Ronnie Osborne, we saw that incident on the front stretch. Tough luck for him. He came home in the 19th position. With Ron Hollifield, he rounded up the top 20. Jeff Hollingsworth, he came home in the 21st position after that incident with Michael Bourne. He came, Bentley later, his teammate, came home in the 22nd position. Tim Bates, we saw there on the broadcast that incident in the turn 1. He came home in the 23rd position. And the 4 retirees for the first lap accident, Johnny Antonucci, Michael Sturgill, Butch Davis, and Yari Buttracher, they will be the last 4 finishers tonight, all retiring on the first lap.
And so that will pretty much do it for us here tonight at Auto Club Speedway. If you want, check out the Endurance for Amateurs series. Still 10 minutes left in that race. And again, a very close three-way battle for the championship in the GTE class, coming down to the final 9 minutes, which is how much time they have left over there if you want to check it out and see that finish. Coming up on ESPN tomorrow will be the TNT Truck Series, round number 13, from Dover at 7:50 p.m. Eastern Time. The Circle B Diecast Super Speedway Series on Friday night will be from Talladega in the Xfinity cars. Then the weekend off, Monday we go to Daytona for the Rowdy Energy Cup Series. That'll be the final race before the playoffs for the Rowdy Energy Cup Series. And then the Tuesday doubleheader, the MX5 Pro Series, will hold their season finale on at Long Beach on the 31st of August at 2:50. And then at 10:05 will be the Western States Racing League round number 9 from Road America. So for my broadcast partner, Nate Siefker, I am Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening. Again, 8 minutes left in the Endurance for Amateurs Series race. Head on over there and support those guys. We will see you tomorrow for the TNT Truck Series from Dover, and we will see you in 2 weeks' time right back here for Sim Racer's Edge from Phoenix. Have a great night, everybody.